Hey, good evening, Facebook. I want to do a quick little video um, about car buying. I've been helping a couple of friends out purchasing a vehicle. They're looking for vehicles that are, in their price range around this, $5,000 to $8,000 range. So uh, a small budget, and typically, with a budget like that, you're looking at something that's going to be 10 to 12 years old in the 1 to 200,000 mile range, um, and probably best to look at like Hondas, Toyotas, stuff like that that'll last 2 or 300,000 miles with proper maintenance. Um, but the trick is, even whether you're purchasing from a private party or a dealer, you really have to do your research on these vehicles. If you're going through a dealer, hopefully they'll pull a vehicle history report so that you can see all the maintenance on that vehicle, see if it's been in any accidents, see if it's had any major um, mechanical issues that have been fixed, so that you can help make an informed decision about that vehicle. A lot of times, if you're buying from a private party, you're not going to have access to that unless you go out and purchase a subscription or a report, individual reports on each of the vehicles that you're looking at. So it's best to have a relationship with a mechanic, a trustworthy mechanic or mechanic shop that that you can take that vehicle to. They can do a good overall inspection of that vehicle. They can pull up the service history on that vehicle and any recalls or issues that have been taken care of, and they can give all that to you to help you make an informed decision. Um, because a lot of times what happens is, especially with a private party, you just don't know the history of that vehicle. It might have been the second or third or fourth owner. It might have went through some teenage kids that really didn't take care of it, or just somebody that just didn't believe in maintaining their vehicles. So you're not going to know that just looking at the vehicle and um, checking the oil and looking for leaks and stuff like that. You're really not going to know. The only way you're really going to know is if you pull up the service history on that vehicle. So if you don't have that capability or not looking to purchase those reports, a mechanic can do that for you. So, case in point, I've been helping this gal look at a few vehicles. She sent me quite a few vehicles to look at, just to kind of give it a once over before she actually goes out and takes it for a test drive and brings it to us to do an inspection and whatnot. So, typically, when she sends me a vehicle, and most of these have been private party vehicles, I'll ask her to get me the VIN number, and we'll take a look at that. So, and this is the kind of things that we look for. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here. Let's see. So this is a vehicle that she was looking at on Marketplace, and it looks like a decent vehicle. It's a 2008 Honda Pilot, $6,000. It says it's driven 127,000 miles. So, and if we look at the pictures, they don't look bad. It looks like it's been taken care of. Um, the odometer reads 127,703 miles, and it doesn't look that bad. Of course, they're not going to show you pictures of underneath or any of the things that we look at when we do an inspection on these vehicles, but for the most part, looks like a pretty clean vehicle. So I asked her to get the VIN number and send it to me, and that way we can pull a service history on that vehicle. And this is the kind of things that scare me out there. The first service, and these are all Carfax reports. Um, the first service is showing that it was done at 10/15 of 2010 at 37,000 miles. So for whatever reason, either they were doing their own maintenance up until that point, or they were taking it to a shop or a friend that didn't report that vehicle service. But after that, it looks pretty good. So it looks like they had a transmission fluid exchange, emissions inspections, differential fluids. So it looks like it had a really good service. And if I drill into any of these services, you can see more details. But what's really to note about this is you start out at 37,000 miles, and then by 2016 you're already at 121,000, and then later in 2016 you're at 134,000. What's going on here? And then you're at 144,000, 179,000, 192,000. So what is going on here? All the way up until 2021, when you're at 214,000 miles on that. And if you remember, that car was listed at 127,000. Well, look at what happens in 2022. We jump back down to 119,000 miles. And then it goes up from there, 120,000, 126,000, and then we know it's listed at 127,000. So this is a clear indication of odometer fraud on this vehicle. So yes, I mean, sometimes shops make mistakes. They might enter one record wrong, and it'll kind of skip around a little bit, and that's kind of to be expected. But when you see a vehicle like this that has very regular service history, and then all of a sudden it jumps down 100,000 miles, somebody messed with that odometer, and that is illegal. To mess with those odometers and change the readings on those. It can be done, and unfortunately it can be done pretty easily on a lot of vehicles. But it's just something that if you didn't have this report here, you wouldn't be able to tell that odometer had been messed with. So it's really important that either you purchase these Carfax reports or there's a couple other ones, Auto Search, or I can't remember off the top of my head. Carfax is the one I use, and it gives me all those service history on those vehicles. So, but if you don't have access to that, or you wouldn't know that there's an issue here. And I'm not saying that the people that listed this did it. They could have bought it like that a couple of years ago and started having issues with it and decided to sell it. Or they could have done it trying to get a couple thousand more, dollars out of it. Because I mean, essentially, this drops the price of the value of this vehicle quite a bit. So it's listed at $6,000, which is a pretty fair price for an 08 with 127,000 miles. But we know that it's actually 100 or 220 plus, probably. So that would drop that price down to probably $3,600 to $3,800 for that vehicle. And so that's a clear indication of fraud on that. So it's just something to be wary of. Again, we do offer pre-inspection services. So if you're looking for a vehicle, we can help you do a little bit of research on those vehicles. And if you decide to take that vehicle for a test drive, you can bring it to us. We'll do a pre-vehicle inspection on that and help you make an informed decision. So don't get scammed out there. Unfortunately, that happens more often than you would imagine. So just be careful, and if you need assistance, we'd be happy to help you. Thank you. I'm Vance Doogie, and this is Doogie's Mobile Auto Service.